Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Power Selling Podcast. I'm your host, Danna Crawford, the Power Selling Mom. And today you're in for a treat. We have RJ. He is a leading voice in email marketing and applied AI. He is a veteran of Exact Target, where he helped scale the company to IPO and its 2.7 billion Salesforce acquisition. RJ also went on to launch Patterson 89, which is a creative AI platform acquired by Shutterstock in 2021. Today, as co-founder and CEO of Backstroke, he is transforming how brands use AI to generate high-performing email and SMS and mobile campaigns, consistently driving 10 to 30% more revenue from email and SMS campaigns. That is crazy huge number. He is also widely recognized for his blend of technical depth and creative vision. RJ is the forefront of the future of email marketing. So you're in for a real treat. Thanks for joining me. Sit back and enjoy this. Okay. Hello, RJ. Thanks for joining me today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. My name is RJ Tallier. I'm the CEO and founder of Backstroke. Backstroke is a generative messaging platform that predicts what you're going to engage with. Email, we work with e-commerce brands. And I come at this new endeavor it's a year and a half old, after spending about 22 years in the digital space at Salesforce, at my previous company that I sold to Shutterstock, and other startups along the way. So that's what got me here.
Congratulations. Your family must be very proud of you. This is amazing. Yeah, you've come a long way.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Part of my intro should include I'm married. I've been married for 15 years, actually, on Thursday,
Wow.
as our 15 year anniversary, and I've got 4 kids. And it's fun actually to talk about entrepreneurship with my children, because I love being an entrepreneur. I think it's really creative and fun. I think they may be entrepreneurs. My wife is an analytical chemist. So who knows?
God.
We might have some scientists. We might have other entrepreneurs in the business, but they all proudly wear Backstroke swag. All enjoy that.
It.
So yeah.
Wow. Your kids have a bright future with you two brilliant minds as parents.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
we hope so.
Yes. So how can marketers use data to guide bold, creative choices without losing sight of predictability and ROI?
Yeah, that's a big question, Danna. And the thing that is interesting about the world we're living in is we have more data than ever before. AI is just this tool that can run alongside any brand, right?
Okay.
The challenge is putting those two together. So understanding patterns with your human eye lead you down one path that maybe reinforces what you already believe, whereas the data coming out of AI often can find patterns that maybe humans don't, you can't discern. And that's kind of the benefit and the advantage. So I think that there's a huge opportunity for brands and marketers to do 2 things. One, leverage AI to extend what they're already doing that's made their brand and their company successful. But then 2, use data-driven insights from AI as well as some of the creative AI tools to do net new things. So kind of have to accelerate what you're doing right there, accelerate with AI and accelerate with all the data, but then also find net new patterns that maybe you haven't tried that might push you out of your comfort zone. I think both are important.
Wow, that's really good. It's interesting. I mean, I love AI. I just think it's brilliant. It's like my best friend. So I love to continue learning about it. And what you've created is just amazing.
Oh, thanks.
On that note, so when you analyze 20,000 plus marketing emails, what patterns did you see in the campaigns that took risks and still performed well?
Yeah. One of the things that I did as a part of starting the business was sign up for 20,000 brands worth of email content. It took me about 4 years. I first did it just manually, just signing up for every email marketing program I could find. And then we've used some other AI tools to do that now. And you can find all sorts of things in the data that are helping us to make better decisions. So for example, you can find things like the number of links at the top of the email actually drive a certain number higher performance. We actually see a 15% click rate up in just the links at the top of the email. Sometimes customers say we want to drive them into the email, but we know that only the first 200 pixels or so are shown when you're scrolling on certain iOS devices. So making sure that you have 3 links or more at the top of in the top 200 pixels of your email drives performance. That may or may not be in line with what your creative team wants to do or what you have normally done, but that's a pattern that emerges out of the data that is currently something that we then prescribe and generate within emails created out of our platform. But that won't always be the case, because once something becomes a quote best practice and everybody's doing it, kind of the lift is then normalized and it becomes kind of average. And then you got to find the net new thing. So that's one of the examples of trends that we see.
So what are some of the most common safe, creative choices that might actually be holding brands back?
Yeah. It's so easy for brands to go to best practices. And actually, if you ironically go into AI and say, hey, what are the top 10 best practices that I could do in order to make my campaign perform, you'll get kind of average best practice-y things like saying your subject line should be 6 words or less. Sometimes 1-word subject line works. Sometimes a very long subject line works. And in fact, including a subject line and a preview can be either a way to improve or decline your email performance. So what we've done at Backstroke is identify which subscribers like which types of content and then generate a variant for each of them. So applying kind of a one-size-fits-all 6 words in a subject line can hold you back because it's not what everybody wants. It's just kind of the average. Another thing is sending the same email to both men and women. And that's just a simple example, but women tend to scroll a lot further into an email as compared to men. In a recent study, we found that men scroll around to the 750 pixel mark. So it's about like 2 thumb scrolls on a mobile device, whereas women go 3rd or 4th scroll all the way down to the bottom. So that is typically where you see social links like your Facebook or your Snapchat or your TikTok links. So then the women end up clicking a lot more at higher rates on those footer images. So it's an interesting thing that's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that way, in that you're putting those links down there where women tend to scroll further. They're going to be the ones who find them and click, whereas men might not scroll as far. So generating maybe a shorter variant that gets to the point more for men and a longer one for women is an easy way to start the segment. Now, I know that not all men act the same, not all women act the same.
Right.
And so then you end up getting into different age groups, like what Gen Z does with email versus Gen X, Gen Y. And of course, baby boomers, very, very different email behavior between mobile, desktop. But those are the types of things you can do with an AI-based approach that you can't do with just a single human dragging and dropping and creating a single email.
Sure. Well, you've got me curious now. What are your thoughts about emojis in the subject line?
Well, I think emojis are a lot of fun, and I think emojis really do work with some audiences, and that's one thing that our model takes into account. Some audiences view emojis as playful and performative in their differentiation. Ironically, some of the younger audiences sort of roll their eyes at emojis and think that the brand's trying too hard. Whereas older audiences now sort of like emojis, and they actually drive open and click rates higher. So it's not, again, a one size fits all. I've lately seen some articles about take the emojis out because they don't work anymore. That's not true. Again, it's not a one size fits all. It's for each individual audience. And then there's the other factor, which is brand. Some brands liken themselves to a brand that wants to be a little bit more playful with emojis, and they often even like make little cryptic riddles in their subject lines or their previews or even in their emails with emojis, and that's totally on brand. Whereas other brands like that would seem to cheapen the brand or be inappropriate. So it's a brand decision, but also a performance decision. But I'm pro emoji.
You're pro.
Yeah.
I do enjoy them. I do enjoy seeing them, and I do they do get my attention, but I fall in the senior division of, baby boomers, I guess. Okay, so how can marketers communicate creative risk to finance or leadership teams in a way that builds trust?
Yeah, I said I subscribe to all those emails that, we have this giant data set. And if you overlaid all those emails on top of each other in a specific vertical, let's say beauty, or let's say like yoga pants is a great like athleisure. Unfortunately, all those brands use the same colors, the same styling, the same kind of athletic models with the same kind of naturals or muted backgrounds. And it's almost hard to differentiate between the brands then. So what a winning brand wants to do is differentiate in the inbox and or just as a brand in general. But that seems risky because we as humans, we want to be a part of the group. We don't want to be the outlier, but we know that outliers actually are the way to perform. It's so overall, one is, are you working in the right company where they want that type of risk? Because it may be just, against the culture. And let's say, yes, they are interested in that, because otherwise you might just get fired, or you might just hit your head against the wall and be really frustrated. But assuming you're interested in a company or working at a company that's interested in risk, then you just test. And the data is super easy to create a control group to validate that the creative direction, the use of emojis, use of really creative, different content are actually driving incremental revenue. And I always just go to revenue as the key metric, because you can use open rates or clicks, but ultimately what spells the truth to finance is money. And
The
that's how
bottom
you get
line.
promoted. And so, you line up your control versus your test and run enough A/B tests that it is statistically significant, then you're good with even driving more risk. And you'll build trust through that process as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why testing is so important as well.
Yes. Yes.
ABCD testing. I do.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So where do you see the line between AI as a creative guide versus AI as a creative replacement we hear about?
Something kind of interesting about me is I have a master's in creative writing. So my background is different than other technologists I meet who want to just use technology for technology's sake. So with that, I come at this from a creative point of view. I really align with a lot of these designers and copywriters who think, wait, the machine can't dream. They don't have memories. Machines don't remember things or feel stuff. And I think that that's how we differentiate. So machines are very good at optimizing, very good at repeating patterns, very good at creating multiple variants of an idea that you come up with. But I think that humans are the source of those ideas. And, then we use machines as tools to execute. And in the same that we use it the way we use other machines to help us execute. I think there's a lot of hype around machines being super intelligent or something and taking over our jobs. I don't think that's true.
I
I
don't
think
either.
it's like a typewriter or a computer or like the tiller that I use in the garden. I'm the gardener, but I don't want to use the shovel. I use that electric tiller, point it in the right direction and go.
Very good example.
Yeah.
So how can teams build, test, and learn cultures that encourage experimentation but still meet revenue goals?
Yeah, I mean that is the toughest thing, because I feel like a lot of brands are waiting and watching. They're
Okay.
uncomfortable in adopting new tech because they want to make sure that it works. But the early adopters are the people that are going to win here in the adoption of AI. So again, I would go back to like, is the culture one of experimentation? And
Okay.
will your boss cover you? And if so, then proceed. If not, then you might get yourself in trouble, get fired, or get cast out or something. So one, just understanding where you are. And then two, I think it's kind of fun to bring everyone into the fold in the test. And you were just
Okay.
describing ABCD test. That's great. Hey, what's your idea? What's everybody's idea? And get a set of hypotheses that you can test against each other. Use that in a small sample to start. Maybe it's a 10% of the list or 20% of the list. So you're not jeopardizing the potential failure of the full campaign. But then you could test and learn into the winner. But I think that it is so much about like bringing the group along with you versus going out on your own. And
Okay.
that's I think sometimes very hard in some cultures.
Yes, having team players. And as long as
Mhm.
everybody's playing on the same team and not venturing off, I think that it disrupts the momentum.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So, are there certain data points or KPIs you believe every creative marketer should every creative marketer should track to defend their ideas?
Yeah, well, I mean, I work a lot in the email world or SMS world, and I think that
Okay.
classic metrics like open rates, well, maybe not so much open rates anymore, but click-through rates,
Click through.
active on sites, and purchase data. But I also think that there is so I would just go to the pure campaign and revenue metrics to start.
Okay. Okay.
The other thing is You can create a little bit of a creative scorecard using something like a chat GPT, where
Okay.
you upload your creative next to your competitors and say, how different is this? Or give this each campaign a score, or how creative or not creative it is. And, use that score to identify, well, what is it about that is so unique or not unique? And then is that a dimension that's driving performance? So you can be unique for unique's sake, which is valuable, I guess, but only really in art or
Yeah.
in maybe brand perception. But
I
if you
love
can also find a way to pair that uniqueness with conversion
Mhm.
lift or revenue, then you got a winner.
Love it. I love it. Now, back in the day when I was in my early days of email marketing, it was like the theory was, I don't know how the proven facts were, but it would be like it would take 7 points before someone would buy your product. It
Mhm.
would take 7 calls to action. But now I've heard 20. I mean,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, we are more distracted than we ever have been. And then the number of channels that we're exposed to on a daily basis is just wild. We're bouncing between multiple apps where there are ads and organic content that's really not
True.
organic content, all the different touch points. I don't know the exact number. 20 sounds about right. And then you haven't even factored in like site conversion stuff. Like
Yeah.
maybe I'm ready to buy the product, but then I go to Amazon,
Yeah.
or I get distracted by a message or something like that. So, or the site is slow because my internet is slow or something. You're dealing with a hyper distracted audience who is dealing with the macro environment where we all know like the wild things that are going on in our nation as well as the world, that
Mhm.
seem to be distractions altogether. I think the
True.
more joyful and unique and interesting and direct and streamlined you can make the campaign and performance, the better. But
Very
still,
good.
you got all that distraction out there to contend with.
Yeah, simplify. If it's the
Yes.
simple, yes. I know if I get an email and it goes on and on and on, like I gotta sit back and take the day in, I won't read it if it's too much information.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta have short and sweet and to the point, and then I'll spend the time to read it. That's just
Yeah.
me. But what advice would you give to a CMO trying to balance brand storytelling with performance marketing demands?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is the work that the CMO has to do. I think first off, I'd say make sure you have a brand guide. So many customers I talk to don't have a brand guide, or more often they'll say, we're updating that brand guide, but it's never really updated. And I think that's because it's hard to codify all of the different things that you stand for. So as a CMO, I would just make sure that's a priority. It's documented somewhere, everything from what the brand stands for, the aesthetic, the kind of vision statement, but down to the fonts, colors, styles, lines, etc, and then understanding how that brand differentiates from competitors. So that's one. So you have kind of like the little brand Bible that you can say, hey, here is what our brand is and that we can stand for.
Sure.
Because ultimately, those CMOs are going to be measured not on the completion of the brand guide, but instead on the performance from a revenue perspective and
Yeah.
or, whatever the KPIs are. So they're going to be immediately distracted on performance, performance, performance. So making sure you have a brand guide so that you can enforce those brand standards and you don't end up to bastardize the brand just to drive revenue. I would say actually writing it down is the key. That's an obvious thing, but I've seen so few completed brand
Overlooked.
guides. Yeah. It doesn't have to be complex. It can be a page or two, but
Yeah.
like this is what we bring. So when you onboard an agency or you work with a company like Backstroke or you bring on a new employee, you just say, hey, this is what we stand for.
There you
And
go.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that brand Bible.
Yeah.
Everybody business should have one, and
Yeah.
especially I mean, a lot of my audience are small businesses. They're getting started and they're,
Yeah.
finding their way. So I think that that's really good advice to have a guide like that up front, especially with your brand all spelled out.
Yeah. I mean, with a small, like, it doesn't have to be extensive, just one page, to start
Yeah.
with,
Sure.
with your brand story, et cetera. And then you can extract so much content. That'll save you a bunch of time too. Because as
Sure.
you have contractors or team members, you can say, hey, make sure it aligns with these dimensions here.
There you go. There you go. So
Yeah.
looking ahead, how do you think this tension between creativity and predictability will evolve as AI tools become more mainstream?
Yeah. I think we're going to be seeing even more creativity win. And I think that's really the exciting part because I think it's going to become more and more predictable, like as the models get smarter and the capabilities improve. And then it's just about how do you stand out? How do you
Sure.
differentiate? If everybody's normalizing to the mean or every brand looks the same, because that's what AI will do, it'll be very apparent which brands have that human creative force underneath or who have invested in that. And it's kind of a long play, I think, because right now everybody's saying adopt AI, adopt AI, adopt AI. And the creatives are thinking, wait, I thought that was my job. But creatives today are the creative folks in marketing who currently spend time assembling emails or creating ads or doing kind of the grunt work of the execution of digital marketing now will be freed up to create again. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that the brands that invest in that and reward that creativity are the winners.
Perfect. Very well said.
Yeah.
So if you could describe Backstroke in one sentence, how would you do that?
We generate performant and on brand email and SMS campaigns in under 5 minutes. Yeah, that's what we do.
Okay. I love it. I know I caught
Yeah,
you off guard there.
it's a
You
good
did very
test.
good.
Yeah, no, it's a good test. It's a good test. I'm glad yeah, and that's literally what we do in kind of plain
Yeah,
speak.
that was good. So
Yeah,
do you have any final
thanks.
words you'd like to add?
Well, the thing I tell to everybody is my favorite quote, which is the author Goethe. He just says, what you think you can do or dream you can do, begin it. And that boldness has magic and power in it. And I think there's so much starting friction. No, that's the end of the quote. There's so much starting friction. People are worried about this or concerned about that or whatever.
Yeah.
And we just have to start and begin, then find that boldness and that magic as we learn and iterate. And that's why, I like being an entrepreneur. That's why I like creativity and business altogether. But yeah, just start.
Well, absolutely. So how can people find out more information?
Yeah, you can check us out at backstroke.com. Yeah, just backstroke.com like it sounds. I grew up swimming. I swam in high school. I swam in college. I still swim. And when I started the company, I wanted it to be something personal and a .com. So backstroke.com it is.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much. That was really, really good information. And I look forward to learning more about your business and your company. So I hope you come back and share more later.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank
Wow,
you.
that was awesome. Thank you so much, RJ, for sharing all of your wisdom with us. It was an honor to have you as a guest today. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I greatly appreciate your support. If you'd like to be a guest on the Power Selling Podcast, please email me at powersellingmom@gmail.com. So thank you again for joining me. I'm Danna Crawford, the Power Selling Mom. Until next time, happy online selling.
This episode of the Power Selling Podcast is brought to you by Riva, the AI platform that automates complex e-commerce operations with AI agents. From creating product content to managing inventory across channels and recovering value from returns, Riva helps brands, retailers, and wholesalers scale faster with less overhead. Learn more at riva.ai.